I'm going to just middle click to get our 4 views here, and let's middle click again to maximize the front view. We're going to go to Options, Configure. You can see the hotkey combination there. And then over here in our Attributes Manager, we're going to go to the Back tab. And right here where it says Image is where we're going to put our image in. So let's go ahead and click through this. Now we want to navigate to our project files, and you want to find the Referenced Files folder. And there's a front view and a side view of our robot. So let's just grab the front because we are in the front view. Open that up, and you can see it comes in, and we can move around our view, and it stays stuck right to the origin there. Now, there's a few things that I want to do before we move on to the other view. First of all, it's very, very bright, which looks nice, but once we start to build geometry and we have this geometry over the top of this, we'll want to have it much more subdued so that we can see what's going on. So because of that, I'm going to set the transparency over here, and you can dial it into whatever you want, but I'm going to make mine at least 80% transparent. We really just need to be able to see it. We don't really need to see it that bright, so I mean, you could come up in here into the 90s and be fine. You can see we can still make out where those different objects are. And so I'll go at least 80%, maybe 80-85% is good. All right, I also want to, as we build this, I want him to be standing on the axis here, and so I'm just going to move this up using the offset Y. So he's standing right there. Now I'm not going to change the size of these. When we go through and build this project, it's going to be a little bit larger than you would think of like a toy. It's going to be more like a real robot kind of shape or size. We can always scale down later. I just want to keep it consistent with kind of the primitives that we're creating so they don't come in really big. And it's going to make life a little bit easier for us, but just keep in mind that we are going to be building this a little bit larger than we would want it to be in the end. Let's go ahead and so I've raised this up 283 in the Y, and so we'll just keep that in mind as we go over here to the front view, just again with the middle mouse button. Again, in the back view, let's come in here, and this time we'll add the side view. It's going to come in the same way, really, really bright. So let's set that transparency. Let's also offset this, and we'll move this up so it's sitting right on top there, and I'm just going to move this up the same amount. So now we've got a side view and a front view, and they should match up fairly well. Let's check these out. So I'm just going to bring in a cube, and just to kind of check the proportions and the size here, I'm going to size this cube up to be the same size and placement as our robot. So something like that. Now coming in from the side, you can see that the front and side match up fairly well. So that goes from the top of the head, which is the top of the head here, goes down to the bottom of the feet, bottom of the feet. So we should be lined up, and that's what we want. We want to have our images lined up, because when we start to put pieces of geometry in here, we're going to match them up from one view, and then we'll try to match them up from the other view. And if the views themselves don't match, we're going to have quite a problem matching up the geometry that we're creating. It's never going to match. So we do want those views to match up as nicely as possible. Okay, so that's how we can put background images, reference images, into our views, or our camera views, or 3D views here. Just make sure to dial down or dial up the transparency, dial down the opacity of our map so that we can see our geometry over the top. And then in the next lesson, we'll come in and actually begin to build the base of our robot.